Now, this is where God was so specific on our details as a family, a couple. It fascinates me, okay? Because as truck drivers, we could have been anywhere in the country, matched with a birth mother, and how were we going to get there once she went into labor? Really, she could go into labor, and if we were working, okay, so truck drivers, we deliver loads, right? And they have schedules that they're delivered on. So you may have to be in Oregon by 5 o'clock on a Thursday night, and you're matched with a birth mother in Virginia, which she's not in Virginia, but in Virginia, and how are you going to get across the country before she gives birth? I mean, because the whole idea one of the most exciting things for adoptive parents is to be there during the birth. That's like something you really want, right? So, oh my gosh. What happened then is we were so like in awe of the fact that here is a scheduled C-section on a specific day. We could plan everything. We could be there on the day because it's scheduled. And so we didn't understand that because I've never been pregnant. And so in our minds, that was just the way it is. You just got a scheduled C-section. Come to find out, it's because she had previous children. And so she knew more than I knew. Okay. So the coolest thing about that is we were able to, I quit my job the week before the scheduled C-section. Oh, I will say, this was a 6-week period out, right? And so this was the middle of March, and she was born on May 4th, 2004. And all in all, it was right under 18 months between the decision to do it and her birth. Did we try to mess things up in the middle of all of that? Sure. But we also were believing by faith. So we were a work in progress for sure. When it came to the birth mother knowing where we lived, back then you were afraid of that stuff. You didn't know that it would be safe. And there are so many horrible stories. This was not one of those horrible stories. This was an amazing story. So we actually did give our address. She sent us a packet of stuff. It was in the packet was a sonogram picture, and the birth mother at that time said, "Oh, I'm just positive that this is a boy." And I trusted her because that's what, and of course we were like, woo, we're having a boy because that's what we wanted and blah, blah, blah. And at the time, we were overjoyed, like totally overjoyed. Again, we took a few gender neutral clothes, but most of the stuff we took to the hospital was boy clothing, okay? The night before the scheduled C-section, we did go and have dinner with the birth mother. So we met her that day. So we heard about her 6 weeks out. I spoke with her on the phone a week ahead of time. We met her the night before. And then at the scheduled C-section, I will tell you this. Back then in 2004, we were told a hospital can treat you any way they want to. Some hospitals don't necessarily like the idea of adoption. That may be completely different now. But again, you're at the mercy of the hospital. They're allowed to do whatever they want. So that's just know that that's the way it is. It was that way back then. So we were thankful for whatever we got access to or whatever. So they did allow me to dress in scrubs. I took my camera in to the delivery room. Again, I wasn't around when my sister had her children. I didn't have friends that I hung out with when they had children. This was completely new to me. We were in a city that none of our family lives in. We had no family there. We were all by ourselves in our mid-30s, thinking we knew everything. And yeah, again, no Facebook, no community like that other than the community that we had from the website. And everybody was overjoyed and excited for us. And so go in. They're treating us very nicely. Brian has to sit out. And I am in there with my camera. And the doctor, so I'm sitting behind the birth mother's head. And the doctor says, "Okay, young lady." And I thought he was being really sweet to the birth mother, like talking to her. And because I don't know, in my mind, a C-section took hours. Yeah, no. Baby was born in 4 minutes. I knew nothing. I know now. And so he says, "All right, young lady." And I'm ready to take pictures. I'm like in a zone, like thrilled, like this is actually happening. Oh my gosh, this is actually happening. And he says, I guess she starts crying, and he goes, "You have a beautiful baby girl." And I remember going out loud, "Oh, God has a plan." And I'm sure it sounded weird to everybody else. But at that moment, like, that is the most distinctive moment ever in my entire life, that I knew that my plans were not the same ones as God's plans. And I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that God had planned this specifically, and I didn't get to get my hands in it. I didn't get to change anything. I didn't get to meddle in any of it. I knew at that very moment that him bringing a daughter into our life was going to be something I knew nothing about. Like, I can't even really explain the depth of that. So I'm so nervous. They said, the doctor, nurses, whatever, said, "You want to cut the umbilical cord?" I'm like, "Oh, no. I'll just take a picture." I'm more comfortable with my camera in front of my face versus doing that. I was so nervous, like, and befuddled. I didn't know what to do. And, I remember seeing her and just going, "Oh my, like, this is real. Like, this is real." And you're going to have the same immediate knowledge that God planned that child for you. You just know. Every adoptive mother goes through this, no matter how many children they adopt. And, all right, bring it together, Michelle. So I walk outside to go find Brian, and I'm like, heart's racing, and I said, "It's a girl." He goes, "Are you sure?" Famous words, famous last words. "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah." I said the same thing to him. I'm like, God has a plan. Like, oh my gosh. And so after that, they basically, they took her back to clean her up. We were not allowed back in the room. We could see it through the glass, though. The hospital staff was very kind to us. She was born on Tuesday, and during a C-section, the mom is released typically later than if you give birth vaginally, I guess. And so then the concern came up with whether or not our daughter would be released to us, or whether she'd have to go to foster care for the weekend, because she was going to be released first, which, looking back, I don't understand all that. But again, I had never given birth. I didn't know. I don't know any of this stuff. So we started praying for all of the paperwork to be signed appropriately. There were so many different people, when a child is born and they're being adopted, they are assigned a guardian ad litem. Our birth mother had an attorney. We had an attorney. Because we were in 2 different states, we had to have an attorney in 2 different states. There's social workers for the hospital. There's all kinds of paperwork and signatures that have to go down. Like it is so vast. And we just prayed and prayed and prayed that everything would be completed by Friday at 5:00 because we wanted to walk away with our baby. And I was so panicked over the 2 days that we wouldn't be able to have her. And so I just cried out to the Lord, just overly cried out to the Lord that all of the pieces that had to come together would come together. And God showed up big for us. Our daughter is now 15 years old, and I will say that we did have a domestic adoption, which means that we've been able to communicate with the birth parents. I do most of that communicating, and for the first, I would say 5 to 6 years, it was strictly pictures. And I did keep up a small website of just pictures that the birth parents had access to. And the best part about the adoption is, for us and our family, is that our daughter is very much like us personally. It's very interesting to watch the whole dynamic of biological versus environmental and how a person grows up. Oh, that's a whole topic in and of itself. It's pretty fascinating. I have kept in touch with the birth parents, and I communicate with them separately, and I provide updates every year. People have different relationships in their adoption stories. Yours may not include communication with your birth parents. And adoption is beautiful. It can be painful at times. But I believe that for us, we prayed pretty extensively. In fact, if I look back, our faith was at its highest level during our adoption journey. We saw God move in so many ways that cannot be explained any other way. So I hope that our story inspires you. I would love it if you would comment below and let me know. If you ever have any questions about adoption, back then things were different. So I can help you with the emotional side of adoption. But when it comes to agencies and organizations and attorneys, I don't know anything to help you with that. But I can support you, and I can help you get through the tough times. I will say, when you fully trust in God and trust that He is directing your steps, you'll see His glory manifested. You'll see all of the details that are specific to you. You'll see them afterwards. Like, you can look back and go, yeah, that was God. That was God. That was God. I'm glad that that situation didn't necessarily go as planned, because then this over here wouldn't have happened. So many times you read stories about people of failed adoptions, the birth mother asking for the baby back, changing. There's so many people that influence their decisions. If they're young, they have their own moms and dads and grandparents that possibly are influencing their decision. And so just pray and ask God to really, speak to you about each opportunity that you have. But know that you have a wealth of love inside of you to give to that child. But they're not just a baby. They are a child. I will say, this is my only caveat that I would say is many people during that time, okay, we didn't pursue adoption again afterwards, But during that time, I do remember many women were in a lot of pain, saying, when, God, when, where's my baby? Why? All of that. They were expressing the pain, and they had a community to share that pain with. But each person has to go through the healing in their heart individually, and just know that it will happen. It will happen. God wants you to have a baby, but he also wants you to have a child, and he wants you to have a toddler. He wants you to have a teenager, and he wants you to have an adult. They are not just a baby. They are all of those things, right? All of their future. And I got that early on, but I didn't share it a lot back then because everybody just talked about a baby. And I really hope to inspire you to think beyond just the baby, because toddlers are hard. Teenagers are hard. They're really hard. And I tell a lot of people this. I only have one, so I don't get to experience each age again. I didn't get to experience the age of 3 when they're so adorable. I didn't get to experience it twice, 3 times, 4 times, because we ended up only having one child. And I miss those times. So if you're a mom and you just happen to be watching this and you've already adopted, and I just want to tell you, cherish all of those moments, because it passes so fast. It passes so fast. She's 15. And I know she's God's gift to me. She's answered prayer. And I'm thankful, so thankful for her. I really hope that when she watches this video someday, that she will know that we loved her every second of every day. She's always known that she was adopted. She's always known. I will say this. Don't ever tell your children that they were given up. They weren't given up. They were not given up. Somebody made a choice to choose life. Somebody made a choice to choose better. And somebody made a choice that they put somebody else's life above their own. They were not given up. My daughter's never been told that she was given up, because it's not true. God had a plan for her to be my child, my husband's child, and we will always tell her that God orchestrated the entire workings around our family creation. And so please, if you learn one thing, even if you're watching this and you're not adopting but your friends are, if you get all the way to the end of this video, there's going to be one person that gets all the way to the end of this video and knows, I'm going to tell you, if you're adopted, you weren't given up. You were not given up. Your birth mother loved you so much that she chose better for you. You are a child of God, and you are not a mistake. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I hope that it's inspired you to pursue adoption. Many times when we hear about other people's stories, it gives us a little bit more hope that we can do it too. You do have the strength to get through it. I hope that you do pursue adoption. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I apologize for it being so long. Okay. I've stopped and started this video about 16 times. And part of it is because I'm a perfectionist, and I'm wanting to get everything right. The right lighting, the right mood, the right mental state, everything. I will say that I've said that a million times. Stop repeating yourself. Okay, I just need to shoot it. So here goes. All right, in this video, we are going, that was nice. Rub your eye. I don't want to start off with that. So let me set my watch so that I know that I am only, whoop, that's not going to work.